let's call it what it is. This feels like nepotism at work. Jaden Smith is undeniably a huge hit with the youth, and brands are obsessed with that right now. But here's the disconnect. The kids who love Jaden aren't the ones buying Christian Louboutin. Their parents are. And most parents aren't dropping four figures on shoes because their teenagers think they're cool. Luxury keeps chasing youth culture while pricing out the very audience that it's trying to impress. So the question isn't whether Jaden can move culture, it's whether he can move product. Exactly. Yeah. And it's a it's that age group is kind of easy yet difficult to sell to. And
Yeah.
and the reason why is, I mean, just genetic makeup and history. Like everybody grows, everybody, just grows out of clothing, shoes,
Hmm.
you name it. Um, I was one growing up, and my mom brings it up to this day that, I've always had a bigger foot size, and my
Hmm.
foot grew like a weed early on in
Yeah.
life, like faster than I grew in height, uh, that kind of came later. But like, shoes I would always want because I played, basketball, for
Hmm.
example. I love T-Mac shoes. I,
Oh
I
yeah,
love
those are
Jason
good.
McGrady shoes. Those are badass, and I had the red ones, I had the blue ones, had his black ones as well,
Yeah.
in different seasons. But it was, like I would have them for a year, and then like towards the end of the season, they were already super snug, kind of got uncomfortable, and my
Mhm.
mom's like, like, and my dad, same thing, like, oh, we just spent, $80 at the time on it. And it's like, man, you're already growing out of them. Like, man, we just need to get you cheaper shoes and then, kind of go from there. But,
Yep.
they always put up with it. And I feel like that can play a lot in part of like the parents, obviously adults, you're fully grown. And then, parents are working for that money, obviously providing to their kids. But when you're buying expensive, bougie type design or clothing or handbags, whatever, it's typically for one parent to another,
Yeah.
and not so much for the kids unless you're looking for, you're ultra wealthy and can buy Louis Vuitton bags for everybody to travel
Hmm.
with. But again, like, those designs, it's nearly impossible for the everyday kid to kind of keep up with the trends that, for example, Jaden Smith is wearing. It's like
Hmm.
you have to find cheaper alternatives in order to keep up with it. And again, like it's going to be tough for him to push a brand because me, for example, I'm probably quite a bit older than Jaden Smith. I don't know Jaden Smith's exact age, but I'm pretty sure he's like in
Hmm.
his low 20s right now, or
Yeah.
maybe even teenager-ish. I'm not too sure now.
Hmm.
But again, like I'm not going to connect my clothing to his, and I think that could be true for quite a few people. But again, like if you're more prone to buy designer items, you're going to be an adult versus
Hmm.
a child because yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah,
That's
no,
where the connect comes from.
it's going to be expensive, and I think with this take, it's that disconnect of, um, you know, what Jaden Smith is doing is great because it's someone starting in the industry, but like I'm curious, I see it as nepotism at its finest because
Mhm.
what has Jaden Smith done to sort of earn to, because he is the creative director of the men's line for Louis Vuitton, for Christian Louis Vuitton. Eh, and you see a lot of his pictures with other celebrities. He has some outrageous fits, but like my question with those fits are like, did you create them yourself? Did you get styled with them? What are you doing? And like I say, I think what some of these designers are doing is they're trying to find someone that relates to the younger youth. But like you say, who's really buying it? Who's really dropping four figures for their kids unless you're in that 1% of millionaires? Because the normal
Mhm.
everyday person isn't going to be buying. If you looked at some of the shoes, a $4,000 to $5,000 pair of shoes that has holes in it that look ridiculous to me. Some like I say, I've looked at his line. I looked at it. I've liked some of it. A lot of it I don't like. I'm not a fan of. But like I say, you could say my fashion's a little different, but I just think this is like nepotism at its best. No youth. it's not going to be successful because, like I say, they're not going to make money. All the old heads that are in this 1% population aren't going to be buying his furry red, I call them Elmo shoes because they look like Elmo, by the
I was
color.
just, I have it pulled up right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh
you,
my,
you, you
dude,
see
they call
those?
that camouflage? What are you camouflaging into? Hot lava?
I
He's
don't know.
got
I know you gotta have the red bottoms, but the red Elmo,
Sesame
like,
Street. Is that where you're
yeah,
camouflaging?
yeah. And think about it, like how many or how many millionaires, wealthy people are actually gonna buy that now? All these top influencers that have the millions, billions, of course they're going to buy it because it's Jaden Smith. That's who they connect to, that's who they relate to. But like I say, for some of these shoes, for me, they just don't do it. And I'm just like, why? Why was it Jaden Smith? Why was he given this opportunity when honestly, I think there are so many other up and coming designers that have been in this game for so long. Jaden Smith tried to be an actor. Jaden Smith tried to be a musical person. Now, creative director. How do you get there so fast when, if you look at his other two endeavors, he failed at them, you could sort of say. You know,
Hmm.
the next Karate Kid probably was his best, movie, and it still was not that great of a movie for some people.
Hmm.
So why is he doing this where others have started from the bottom up and have shown that they've been doing fashion? I don't think Jaden has had any type of fashion line before this, but like I said, I have to look into it a little more. But I saw it and I was just like, it just doesn't sit well with me, but I get why they're doing it because like there's a lot of youth that when they hear Jaden Smith, they relate to him, they like him. But like I say, is it gonna move the money that this company thinks? I don't think it will, because like I say, I don't see you know the CEO of Microsoft buying some of these shoes because they just don't really fit his style.
Hmm. Yeah. No, the only so obviously we all see Jaden Smith in the tabloids,
Hmm.
paparazzi following him around. The biggest thing you can say about his style is just unique.
Hmm.
Um, a lo 99.9% of it, I could never see myself wearing it.
Hmm.
Um, Different stature for me, of course.
Yeah.
It's just I could never pull it off. In he most of the time, of course can. It's very unique, but looking at some of this stuff, like, like I could see, I think the only thing in his collection, maybe these white sneakers, I could possibly
The
see,
the the ones that
you
look
know.
like real sneakers.
Correct. And
Uh,
then, I know that those dandelion pearl, those
yeah.
loafers,
Yeah.
that's kind of a popular look nowadays, like
Hmm.
having like like all of the pearls sticking out. Like
Hmm.
I've seen other shoes kind of like that.
Yeah.
Um, but like even the red ones, like the end to those, very unique, I guess.
Yeah.
But the red tactical camouflage boot, like just that's just hilarious. Um, yeah, and I was gonna ask you because this kind of sparked something, I guess this Trapman boot I could see
Mhm.
as well. That kind of looks more like a Tim.
Yeah.
Um, but with a lot of this, and you can think to other brands like what's the other brand that kind of has just a very out there vibe, like just really random? I can't think of them right now. I
Louis
had it in my
V.
head a second. No,
No. 'Cause
let me effort on this for a second because I want to hit home on this. What was it? Wasn't that? No, no, no.
Is it a shoe? Or were they doing shoes or just clothing?
Balenciaga.
A
Balenciaga.
Balenciaga. Yeah.
So like Balenciaga has had some stuff like that's just it looks like paper mache t-shirt. It's just like what is this? Who's
Hmm.
buying that?
Yeah.
And to an extent, do you feel like some of this is a social experiment?
I think some of it is. I think some of it's just sort of trying to see how far they could go and how much they could get. but yeah, like Balenciaga, I've seen some of their stuff because like if you look behind me, like I like designer stuff. I have the Travis Scott Jordans, those are popular ones. I have the Nike the off-white ones. I have two pairs of off-whites.
Hmm.
And like I say, I've gotten lucky to get them on raffles. These are the only ones I've gotten on raffles. After that, if I want to get them, I have to pay what 10 times what they normally are. But like I said, what I like about like Off-White with collaboration with like Nike when they were coming out, they were only priced at like $300 to $400, a lot more affordable than four bands, or more,
Hmm.
in those four digits. Same with Travis Scott's. Those I think when you buy them, they're like 280, retail. Now, if you get them and if you don't get them and you want to buy them, you got to buy them at like 2 to 3K, depending on the style, how popular it is. Whereas these, you just have to be paying 4K, and like I think is a social experiment of are people actually going to pay for this? And like I say, and if like what they're doing right now with Jaden Smith is a social experiment, and if celebrities could do it, like I say, if Jaden Smith is successful, you're gonna see so many more celebrities come do this with these big name brands. If he isn't
Hmm.
successful, he's gonna be another laughing stock again in a different endeavor, and nobody else is gonna try to do it, or nobody else is gonna pay another celebrity to do it. Jaden
Hmm.
Smith is gonna have to try to sell his own brand and do his own thing and come up from the bottom up just to be successful in the future.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like just his relevance in what he's worn over the past, in I guess having two, ultra
Hmm.
famous parents, the affordability level of having high-end designer brands or maybe
Hmm.
creating his own clothing in the past has been something that, has kind of plopped him, into a position like this. And he's a big name. He's
Hmm.
marketable with anything designer, I suppose. But, it just seems like, that's the only way that I feel like he could, I guess, kind of catapult himself into a position like this because like you mentioned, there's other folks who, maybe went to a very prestigious college,
Hmm.
university to, in design and then has made numerous things and still hasn't been able to get into a position, quite on the level as what, Jaden Smith has with
Hmm.
Christian Louboutin. Um, so, but yeah, and it could be one of those things that maybe he'll hit home on one of these. Maybe those red, maybe we're talking and we don't know what the hell we're talking about, John.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
those
we
red
might be.
camouflage boots are badass.
Maybe they are.
It's just, but maybe this is unk talk. I don't know,
Yeah, it
it's
could be.
because
Like,
who made those red boots that came out like 3 years ago? The ones that look like it should be in a cartoon. Remember those?
yeah. Uh, I always saw them because they made him in red. They made him Mischief, the Mischief boots.
Mischief. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like I know that those were kind of like a laughing thing, but I feel like a lot of people ended up kind
yeah,
of buying those.
yeah. But think about it. Those were more affordable.
Mm,
I think sticker price for those were $200 to $300,
you're
probably
right.
retail.
Yeah.
To buy them now, you probably got to pay close to 1 to 2K. StockX has one, the Crocs, the yellow Croc ones, at $1,000. And that's just
Wow.
starting bid. So,
Ooh.
but like I said, look at Louis, but what Jaden Smith is doing, you're already gonna have to pay for 4K maybe just to get the shoes compared to these Mischief. $300 to $400, it's a lot more affordable for these celebrities to sort of feel comfortable, and even those that are in a higher tax bracket
Hmm.
to sort of buy these shoes, because like I say, the ones Jaden Smith are creating, you're not going to buy them for your kids unless you are, some of the top 1%ers and your kid really wants them. You're just gonna be like, whatever, this is pocket change to me. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I remember the Mischief boots. I always saw them. It reminds me of Astro Boy. Is the character?
That was it. Astro Boy. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly it.
yeah.
Um, I'm trying to look into Christian Louboutin's statement here in quotes regarding, I guess, the
Uh,
hiring of Jaden Smith, and they're saying, when I first met Jaden, I saw him in a natural fit for the Mason, and his world is rich and multidimensional. Um, I feel like he has a creative direction for our men's collection in an exciting and dynamic way. Um, they also said like I guess his philosophy and like his experience in music performance and activism will help, a lot of the brand of what he's going to create with Christian Louis Vuitton. Um, I mean, it seems like they, you know,
mhm.
spent some time, thinking about this hire and what it could mean to the
Yeah.
company. And then the final picture has him wearing those camouflage boots. He's wearing what looks to be normal, no, normal shorts, but then he's wearing football pads
Uh,
on top of that. Yeah, again, it's like I said, unique. But what this whole, kind of take comes down to is the relatability to
mm,
the everyday person or somebody who can even afford those red boots. Like, how marketable are those compared to maybe
mhm.
some of his other things, or,
Yeah.
what other, I guess, renditions of, high heels or boots
Yeah.
or loafers that Christian Louboutin has been selling for years, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But maybe this is just the start for him, and let's see. I guess the biggest place to check, John, is going to be the red carpet.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what the red carpet is. Like I say, I know in the fashion world, and like I say, we're not. I'm not gonna say I'm a big fashion person. I think I know a little bit about it. I've looked into it, but I can't. I'm not gonna comment as much into it. But I'm curious if anybody will come say anything about his styles. I think a lot of people in that fashion world are so just keeping stuff to themselves and just building off of what they do.
Hmm.
I don't think we'll ever hear negatives about it, but like I say, it's sort of like if he doesn't get a signing after this or he sort of gets dropped, shows that he was successful, shows that his creative mind isn't there. Um, but yeah, like I say, very stylish. What he wears is unique. It is trend setting for some people, but like I say, how many people could pull off that look? If you're not Travis Scott, you're not like this famous celebrity, famous football player. The normal everyday people, you go to high school like that, you're gonna get bullied and people are just gonna make fun of you. Hate to say it. They're not gonna think you're cool
Hmm.
because you look like Jaden Smith. They're gonna mock you and just tease you like no other. I hate to say it.
Yeah, that's just how school is.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that he's very consistent with
Mhm.
his unique style.
Oh
He
yeah.
hasn't strayed away from it. He's kept it up for years now. And it's pretty admirable. He's
Hmm.
confident in it. So he truly believes what, is behind his mind and his work. So, I guess we'll see what unravels with it. But again, um, yeah, it's just the marketability of Christian Louboutin, no matter what you're buying from there, it's going to be expensive as
Hmm.
hell. But the product that you're going to get is, very high end, well put together. Um,
Yeah.
you see red bottoms, it's
Yeah.
red bottoms to the shoes. It's something, you know,
Yeah. But
it's
well,
design.
if you see red fur boots, you think Elmo just got murdered or something. That's the one concern.
It's a
But
great fit for Sesame Street.
imagine what kids at Elmo fans, parents are gonna. How are you gonna explain that to your kid? Like, why is Elmo on this guy's feet, Daddy? Like, oh, I don't know. He must have kicked the shit out of him. Got stuck
Yeah.
on his shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, the fur looks just like, something that Elmo has. So,
Yeah.
too funny. Didn't
Yeah.
know this
So,
though. Didn't know
yeah.
this though.
Yes. I saw. I think I saw it yesterday, and I was reading into it. And like I say, people compare it to Virgil with Off-White, but I'm like, what Virgil did was so different because he started off from nothing, you know. Uh, even before he became a designer, he was a civil engineer, going into school, and the only reason he got into design is because he was making t-shirts. He was sort of hustling, doing podcasts, doing a lot of stuff, and then he went into internship at Fendi, and if you know Fendi, Fendi's a big popular brand as well, and
Oh yeah.
so that's how he got his start, bottom up. You can't call it nepotism. You could call it support because I think what really pushed him to the next level to do Off-White and sort of collaborate with Nike, Jimmy Choo, Louis Vuitton, because he was the first black artistic creative director for the menswear for Louis Vuitton,
Oh wow.
LV, in 2018. I think it was him partnering with Kanye because I think Kanye and him went to like school together, were in the fashion, game, and I think Kanye saw him and sort of made him creator of his Donda agency and marketing. So, like I say, he started from the bottom up, has a lot of reputation in designing clothes, being a designer. Whereas, like I say, I think the one thing which I call nepotism with Jaden Smith is I haven't seen him, and like I said, I might just be out of the game, and he might have three different design companies out there that I just don't know about. But where is the proof that he has been successful in designing? I haven't seen
Mhm.
it. This is a big risk for Christian Louis Vuitton, but it could be a home run, but it could be three strikes and he's out. And then to get into the fashion industry again, it's going to be a hard climb.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe at a certain point too, it's like, Christian Louis Vuitton, let's just say it doesn't work out.
Hmm.
It's Christian Louis Vuitton in the future is going to be like, nah, we tried the celebrity thing, it didn't work.
Hmm.
We're going to move on to a different style
Yeah.
and go back to, just our normal creative minds,
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how it plays out though. I mean, yeah, it could be, a dead block, for, future, I guess, celebrity nepo possibilities.
Yeah, like I said, you're just gonna have to sort of wait to sort of see what comes out of this, what he's done, and if it's successful. Because like I say, I think one person, I don't know if you've seen, that's going into fashion, which I'm curious about, just because we follow him a bit, Kai
Mhm.
Cenat.
Oh, did
So
not see that.
yeah, he sort of has taken the break from streaming and just that piece and wants to go into his passion of creating a clothing line. So, but I think
Oh.
what he's sort of doing is like he might be getting support, but he's creating his own clothing line, and it's sort of like if that succeeds and does well, gets money, like he will be able to then start collaborating with like Louis V, Prada, Gucci, those type
Mhm.
of things and build a brand and then you could be one of the biggest brands in fashion because
Right.
what one person I remember and this is shout out to House of Gucci the movie because
Mhm.
this is where I got it from like Tom Ford if you know Tom Ford in fashion big fashion
Oh yeah.
he has a lot of great fashion but he got to start with Gucci, creating a line for
Oh,
Gucci. It says it in the movie, and that's how he sort of got his name into that fashion world. So, like I say, Jaden Smith, I haven't heard much or seen much that he's done something like that. Slowly building it up in fashion. So did like I said, this is nepotism at its best and at its finest. Will Smith. But we'll see. Like I say, I could be totally wrong. I'll take back this take. Give him his flowers. Give the Smith family their flowers for doing an amazing job and proving me wrong. But till I get proven wrong, it is what I'm going to feel about this take.
yeah, absolutely. No, super valid. Final thing for me on the off-white shoes.
Yeah,
Um, big fan of those is Mike McDaniel,
yeah,
new offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Every game.
yeah, yeah. Every game he had a pair. Yeah,
Yep,
they're stylish and like I said, they're just more affordable if
they
you get
are.
them sticker price. And even like buying them on StockX, you got to pay $1,000, $2,000, but still more affordable than some of these other high end brands. And like I say, I think the everyday people get them a lot better.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can wear
Yeah.
your sweatpants khaki style with them.
Hmm.
And It's
Yeah,
acceptable.
you can't.
It works.
Yeah, yeah. So.